Reading romance has just set my expectations for love through the roof. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Aylin and today we are going to be talking about all of the books that I read in January. So my soft goal for the year is to read 10 books every single month. I didn't say that in my goals video because it felt really lofty and I don't know that I'll actually be able to achieve it. And then my even more high achieving goal that is even softer is to read 12 books every single month, and I managed to do that this month even with a trip. Yeah, I read 12 books this month. I really enjoyed most of them. I had a really solid reading month. So let's just get started with my reviews of all of them. This month I actually took the time to put them all in chronological order, so if you're new here, this doesn't happen often. Don't get used to it, but I did do it for the first month. I started out this month kind of in a funk, so I read quite a bit of poetry, starting with Velvet Dragonflies by Billy Chapata. This was a carryover from December that I really needed to finish. I had like 200 pages or something left, and you guys, this ended up being my favorite poetry book that I have literally ever read. I have a tattoo dedicated to this. I'm getting another tattoo dedicated to this. I loved this book so freaking much. It got a 5 out of 5 stars for me. It was my first 5-star of the year, one of 2 5-stars this month, so I started out this month with a bang. This is definitely like modern poetry, but if you don't like the modern poetry that kind of walks you through somebody else's life, this one kind of gives you like more advice and like things to think about. So I really appreciated this about this one because the author clearly like put work into it, but it wasn't so connected to them that it was just about their life and nobody else could connect type of thing. And I also didn't feel like, even though it's 300 pages, I didn't feel like he recycled anything or there was a bunch of repetition within it, which again, I really appreciated because that often happens when I read poetry collections. So I like this one a lot. Like I said, it's my favorite. I'm going to be doing a whole guide to poetry this month, so stay tuned for that. The next one that I read was definitely a cover buy and then a cover read, and that is Golden by Wilder. I mean, this cover is beautiful. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It's another poetry collection. It's fine. Art inside is absolutely stunning, and I think it is worth reading. It's a lot about like self-love, but it also has a lot of like themes about earth and like running free and all of that, and that's not really my jam, which again is fine. Poetry is so subjective, so you can't expect everything to be a win for you, but this one wasn't bad. It just wasn't my favorite, which again is totally fine. I still give it 3 stars. I really enjoyed a lot of these poems, but it's not like a top recommendation. Camera battery is about to die. Let's see if I can make it through one more book. The third book that I read this month was another carryover from December, and that is Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller. This is a Hades and Persephone reimagining. It's a mafia romance that is also a Hades and Persephone reimagining, which I freaking loved. Basically, we are following Elena and Cal. Cal works for Elena's dad, who is the mafia don of Boston, and Elena has like always had a crush on Cal. There's quite a bit of an age gap, and this book doesn't take place until Elena is 20, and Cal has never looked at Elena that way except on her 18th birthday, which read Sweet Sin prior to reading this if you want some more context to their relationship. You definitely don't have to read that book, but it's just like a quick novella that again gives you a little bit more information. This one I gave a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I really loved Cal and Elena. Content warning, this is a very dark romance with a lot of kinks and stuff in it, so if that's not your thing, look up reviews because I'm having a hard time remembering a lot of them now, but there's some graphic stuff in here. Basically, Elena and Cal are blackmailed into getting married on the day of Elena's wedding, and they have to marry each other, so it's a marriage of convenience type of thing. So good. So freaking good. There were a couple of like plot holes or plot points that weren't really well fleshed out and explained, but I don't think it took away from the romance too much. I was just mildly confused at points. I don't know if we'll get more information in later books, but I'm definitely going to be continuing on with the series. I have the next 3 books on my shelves, so very excited about this one. I really enjoyed it. It was a really solid start to my romance reading year. And then my friends Rylan and Stasia host a 24 and 48 hour readathon every single month, and I read quite a few books that weekend. I have a vlog coming for that. But the first book that I read was Black Paradox by Junji Ito. This one was so freaking creepy. Content warning for suicide. This one was weird. and it was horrific in a body horror way, but that I've like never seen before. It's like a 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't know how I felt about it immediately after reading it because it left me feeling so weird, but that's kind of the point of horror, and this is horror manga. Junji Ito is a horror mangakon, so it makes perfect sense. This was short, it was quick to get through, but man was it weird. I think it's one of the weirdest ones that I've ever read by him. So be forewarned, basically these 4 people want to take their lives together, and then they see their like doubles, and one girl is not a double. All right, my camera battery died, so I don't fully remember where I was, but this one was weird. Basically 4 people want to unalive themselves, and then they have like doppelgangers or like alternate versions of themselves, and one girl doesn't and can't figure out who's who, and the doppelganger, like it's weird, but it was good. It's definitely unlike anything I've ever read. Moving on, I read my first audiobook of the year, and that was The Stand-In by Lily Chu. I have had this book on my TBR for quite some time. This is a romance. If you don't love famous people, I wouldn't say you would like this one necessarily. We're following our main character, Gracie. At the very beginning of this book, she has gotten fired from her job because she has a really sleazy boss, and then when she goes to report it, she gets in trouble instead of him, obviously, because we love it here. And she's down on her luck when one day she is mistaken for a Chinese actress, and the Chinese actress sees like these pictures of her that everyone thinks are her, but really they're Gracie, and she offers Gracie a job to go out and essentially do like PR and stuff for her so that she can kind of get a break and take care of her mental health because she's not doing very well. Along the way, she has to hang out with Sam Yao, who is Wei Feng Li's co-star, Wei Feng Li being the actress. It's like a hate to love because Sam's not very happy about this idea. Things ensue from there. It's so good. I loved this book. I read it in like a single day, or maybe it was only a couple of days, but I read it during Rylan and Stasia's readathon, and it was a wonderful experience. So 10 out of 10 would recommend this one. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It made me cry, I'm pretty sure, at points, and I love Gracie. I loved this romance, and I definitely will be reading more from Lily Chu in the future. Then I picked up Nick and Charlie, the Heartstopper novella by Alice Oseman. I miss them. This was fine. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's basically just a little bit more information. I don't know if it's post the 4th graphic novel or the 5th one, because the 5th one hasn't been released yet. I'm assuming the 4th for that reason, but Nick is getting ready to go to college and Charlie is a year behind him still, so it's kind of about their turbulence in their relationship as they prepare to have a long distance relationship. It felt very authentic to the characters, but also real life experiences that I feel like a lot of couples have when they start dating in high school and they want to continue their relationship long term. So I really enjoyed it. Felt very real. I understood everything that the characters did, even if you're not always happy with them, but it wasn't to a point where I was like, I'm mad at you, I don't want to read this anymore. So it was fun. Definitely not necessary to read, but like I said, I enjoyed it. Then I listened to the audiobook for The Comeback by Lily Chu because I really enjoyed The Stand-In so much. This one, I don't want to say too much about it. I would recommend not reading the synopsis for this because it gives away like a big plot twist. I mean, I guess it's not like a plot twist, but I didn't read the synopsis and I was super surprised halfway through when this thing came up. But basically we are following Ariadne, who is a lawyer, and while her roommate is away, she asks Ariadne if it's okay if her cousin comes and stays with her, and Ariadne says yes. And then it turns out that her roommate's cousin, who she definitely has an attraction to, may or may not have a presence in the social media world, and it's kind of them figuring out their relationship, but I won't give away like what his role is. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one as well. Not as much as The Stand-In, but I still gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. The Stand-In was like a 4.5. This one was like a 4. But yeah, still really good. And like I said, I want to read more from Lily Chu. The audiobooks are great. This is an Audible exclusive, unfortunately, but if you do have Audible, I would say read this. Then I had a couple of Audible credits and I needed something else to read, so I got Long Shot by Kennedy Bryan. This one is the first one in the Hoops series. We are following August and Iris. Content warning, heavy content warning for sexual assault, domestic abuse, and rape, and just like general violence in this one, because holy crap, I thought this was going to be like a light and fluffy read. It was not. This is a sports romance between an NBA basketball star, August, and Iris. Iris is dating August's like rival in the NBA, and one night they meet at a bar and August is like, I am in love with this woman. It's kind of a love at first sight type of thing, but because Iris is in a relationship, they can't pursue anything. She stays faithful. And then at the very beginning of the book, we find out that Iris is pregnant with, I think his name is like Connor or something, Caleb. She's pregnant with Caleb, who is August's rival, pregnant with his child. And so she's kind of forced to give up her dreams of having a career and everything like that. The world is working against me right now. The world does not want me to film this video, and I don't know why. Hopefully we're good now. Anyway, where was I? Proceed with caution. Definitely look up content warnings when reading this book, but I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think I would have enjoyed it more had I known like what it was going into it, but that's 100% my bad. And I think if I reread it, I might like it more. But I still loved it. So then for the Mending Hearts book club hosted by my friends Stasia and Rylan, I read Priest by Sierra Simone. This is a taboo romance surrounding a priest who falls in love with this girl named Poppy. Like the day she comes in to do a confession, he just like falls for her. And obviously with his vow of celibacy and being a priest, he is not allowed to like fall in love with anyone or be with anyone romantically, let alone physically. His reasoning behind becoming a priest is because something happened with his family and the church a really long time ago. So he's trying to kind of right those wrongs of the church for his family by being a priest. And so it's kind of this tug of war of, I feel like I need to be a priest to make things better for my family, but also I'm in love with this woman and I don't know if I can like hold off much longer. This is pretty much just smut, which is fine, but like they say I love you and it's supposed to be a romance, and I just didn't fully get like why they loved each other. So I gave this one 2.5 stars. It's fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. It just like wasn't, I wanted more from it and I didn't get that. Then we have my favorite romance of the freaking year, my favorite romance that I read this month, The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I have a dedicated reading vlog coming for this one. This is following Rowan and Zara. Rowan is one of the 3 grandsons of Brady. I don't know what his last name is, but I don't think it really matters. In this world we have Dreamland, which is basically like Disney, and Brady, the creator of Dreamland, ends up passing away. And for each of his grandsons, in order for them to inherit their portion of shares, he left a contingency in his will where they each had a specific task that they needed to do, which was given to them in individual letters. For Rowan, he is the dreamer that stopped dreaming. He is the creative one, and Brady's task for Rowan was to come up with something to like reinvigorate the park, make it a better place. He has 6 months to come up with an idea, and then he will present it in front of a panel that was already pre-selected by Brady. They're all non-biased parties. If they vote no, Rowan doesn't get a second chance, and he has to let all of those shares go to his father, whom he has a really tense relationship with, and his dad's just not a very good person. So he really doesn't want that to happen. His brothers and him are working very hard to meet all of their individual goals so that that doesn't happen. But along the way, Rowan meets Zara, who ends up submitting an idea because Rowan has this plan to like have a bunch of creators, which are like Disney dreamers, I'm remembering that correctly, where they submit an idea every single week and then he kind of incorporates that into his presentation and gets ideas from them. He meets Zara. Zara submits an application because at the start of the book she works at like this salon where she will do kids makeup and hair and stuff to like transform them into whichever park character they want. She ends up getting a creator position. It's a hate to love romance. There's also like a secret identity trope in there, which is resolved like 50% of the way through. So if you're not a huge fan of that, it is not the 3rd act conflict. That's something else. I flew through this book. I loved it. I read it in like 2 days maybe. A separate vlog will be coming for this later on in the month, so keep your eyes peeled and your notifications on. But this got 5 stars. It made me cry. Insert a picture here of me crying on the plane while reading this book. Also, the banter was a freaking plus. It's been so long since I've read good banter like this. Just yes. Just yes. A million times yes. Lauren Asher is now an author for me, even though I've read one of her books. It's fine. Then the last book that I read on the plane was Midnight Mass by Sierra Simone. This one is following Poppy and Tyler 3 years after everything in Priest. I gave it 2 stars. Look up content warnings, but proceed with caution. It is kind of a spoiler. I didn't really like this one. The characters didn't communicate literally at all. All they did was have sex, which is fine, but like they're having these marital issues, and instead of working on them and genuinely talking about them, they're just banging it out. And it's like, okay, how do you guys ever expect to get better. Like, I understand that that's part of a relationship for some people, and it definitely is for them, and great, do whatever you want, but like, don't complain that you're not communicating when you're actively making choices to not communicate. It pissed me off. So I didn't like this book. 2 out of 5 stars. And lastly, for the books that I read in January, we have Block Shop by Kennedy Ryan. I loved the first book so much that I needed to continue on with the series. This one, we are following Jared, who is the stepbrother of August from the first book, and Banner. So this is a second chance romance. I would look up content warnings for this one. It's not nearly as graphic or bad as the first one in way of like the material, but there definitely is like fat phobia and stuff like that. So if you want specific examples and a deeper dive into that, I would look up reviews. But yeah, we're following Jared and Banner. They are both sports agents, and content warning as well for cheating in this one. Banner is in a relationship with an NBA player, and Jared is trying to win her back. Some things happen. It's a good book. I didn't love it as much as I enjoyed the first one, but it still got a 4 out of 5 stars for me. It was really solid, and again, I want to read more from Kennedy Ryan and continue on with the series. I was also not expecting this book to make me cry, but it definitely did. Even though I didn't necessarily love like all of the plot and everything for this one, I loved how much Jared loved Banner, and I will accept nothing less. Reading romance has just set my expectations for love through the roof. Those were the 12 books that I read in the month of January. Let me know how you guys did this month for your reading in the comments below. I love chatting with you guys. Let me know if you've read any of these books and if you shared similar thoughts, or if you disagree with me. Totally fine if you do, I get it. But yeah, that's gonna be all for me today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you're doing well reading, mentally and otherwise, and I really hope to see you all in my next video very, very soon. Bye guys.